Welcome back everyone to Pineleaf Plays the Rune-keeper, and we're heading off to find some Dunlendings to remove from the area and collect some of their axes. This is the first quest concerning the Dunlendings, but it certainly won't be the last one. Well, especially when you consider that eventually we'll be heading into Dunlending, right? Where there'll be many more quests involving Dunlendings. But there are a few here in Eregion, then we'll be leaving them behind for a while as we head out into Moria and Mirkwood. But we will eventually run back into the Dunlending territory. Now, I don't intend to do the quest with these trolls. Let's show you what a battle was like with one of these. And now this particular area, they're rather thin, so if you do the troll quest, you can do it in this area and you'll probably get through it and not have to worry about ads and the like. But of course, the reason you can get through there without ads and the like is because the population is relatively thin, which means they'll be a little bit harder to find. So actually that one wasn't too difficult to do. It's when you get the elders who heal themselves, things like knockbacks, and you have others wandering in the area, especially near the area where they're thickest. That's when it gets annoying from the point of view of potentially difficult. While here, the main question is finding them, which is, of course, a bit of the opposite problem. Alright. So we shouldn't take too long in finding the Dunlendings we want here. Now, I've seen an announcement that there is going to be a patch Monday morning. That, by Monday morning, I mean the 28th of July. Since obviously, if you are listening to this significantly after the time I posted, obviously the patch would be long done. And I've read the patch notes. They're up already, but they don't mention anything about the skirmish issue. I can only hope that since they were twiddling with some of the skirmish bartering items in the skirmish camp, that they also had an opportunity to do something with the skirmish captain so that you can accept your traits. I mean, of course, accepting your traits without going and getting rid of all your regular traits temporarily. Some people said if you're level 20, it's probably not all that expensive to redo your tree. So it might not be too bad, especially if you had only one specialization down anyway, since you might not always choose your second specialization until after you hit 20. So of course, if you bought... How many trait slots can you buy? Well, okay, there are 3, but I think you can get... But I think it adds to it. I don't know what the maximum number is, because I normally don't get a 3rd one, and I've never gotten a 4th one on any character. But if you go on and have about 5 or 6 different versions of it and you're at max level and you want to redo your skirmish traits, I think it might get a little bit expensive to do so. Hopefully on Monday they will fix it and they just forgot to put it in the patch notes. We are at... Oh, good grief. We're at 9 of 12. Dunlendings down. So 10 of 12 now, so... Finishing up on the Dunlendings is the easy bit. It's the axes, because now I'm only at 5 of 15. Which means that I'll be needing a few more. Apparently they're not all carrying axes. But she was. So I am going to need to kill a few more than 12. Well, actually, seeing that there are 15 that you need here. You need to kill more than 12 even if you had a good drop rate. There you go. How's that? Alright, let's see. Here. Now we have this area. I think after this I will have one fight a boss, but after that we'll be done with this area. So at least the quests that are marked solo. And we will I know it's probably more efficient to do that because there's the summoning horn when we go against the boss. I suspect that if this were done more recently, they would have not required us, because as I said, it's set up for 3 trips, but I sometimes, as you noted, I run up here and get the axe quest so that I can do the axe quest while I'm doing the Dunlending Slayer. Though it is possible that you might be able to get the axe quest at the same time as you do the boss quest. I don't think the axe quest will be a prerequisite, but if it is, then it will require 3 trips. Otherwise, it will require, because it would only require 2 trips. Alright, let's see. I'm just seeing I've got 4 more of these. Okay, 3 more then. Yeah, let's start with some fire for a change. I do have to eventually work on some of those deeds. I don't get through them too often. Not the worms, the Dunlendings. Alright, now some of the other things that they are doing in the update is that they are lowering the cooldowns for the Fanghorn quest. Because that was the biggest complaint a lot of people had, is that Quick Beam takes 18 hours to think. Well, of course, Quick Beam is an ent, so I suppose taking 18 hours to think isn't all that unusual, but I suppose that since he is a relatively hasty ent, they decided to reduce the time down to a few seconds. So it will be easier to get the horn pets than it used to be, and if you're really, really unlucky in the drops, Then if you get enough of the fangorn leaves, then you could exchange them in that way, but I think the number is high enough that you'd have to do it quite a number of times that unless you're really unlucky, you probably would have gotten the pet to drop anyway. So to me, though, the idea of going around with a tree pet seems rather silly. As you see, I'm not rushing out to do the summer festival. I'm not particularly keen with the rewards that are up this year. I'm sure you've heard Sithrith complain about them also if you listen to anything that she does. And since she is much more into cosmetics than I am, you can see that if she refuses to do a festival because she doesn't like the cosmetics, then the cosmetics aren't very good. Now, if there was a nice gold cosmetic that would go with this character. But let's see. I think the cosmetics for this particular spring festival have been described as anything but nice. Alright, now let's turn in this quest and take care of the Dunlendings. Here we go. Hello.
Grey is the shadow upon my heart.
I'm sure it is. Good work, Pinestone. This should slow down their efforts while we delve deeper into their intentions. Well, let's see. Their intentions are to not offer any good rewards, it looks like.
My heart cannot sing today.
Well done, Pinestone. With the loss of so many laborers in Garth, Dunlendings should be thrown into disarray and absolutely just some silver.
Will you stay a moment and learn of my troubles?
Our scouts have reported that the few remaining Dunlendings have managed to reinforce their lumber camp. Apparently they have a battle horn with which they can summon their leader, a man by the name of Tudor. Return to the Dunlending camp, Pinestone, and look to the east of the pond, search for the battle horn, and use it to challenge Tudor. When he arrives, defeat him. Perhaps then the Dunlendings will return to their own land. Hurry, alright. Before Saruman can send allies to reinforce the camp. Okie dokie. So, let us go and take care of the boss. I mentioned him before, I showed you the horn before, so this shouldn't really take all that long. Now, a couple of things. They do have some class changes in there. The most important one seems to do with the minstrels, since apparently there were a great many complaints about the removal of a trait on the minstrel tree. So they are restoring that and taking out a couple of ranks of some other trait, which hopefully is one that they don't particularly care about. Now, unfortunately, I wasn't quite sure what that trait was, since it wasn't very familiar to me, which either means A, I wasn't using it, or B, I just wasn't keeping it in mind. Either one is equally likely. Alright, here is the horn. Now, first thing I want to do is, of course, to clear out any stray laborers here. Alright, now this should be, everybody is done. Good. So let us... Ah, Tudor. And now we've got him to face. Alright, he is quite impressively dressed, right? Obviously the boss. But he's not particularly impressed with my lightning, apparently. Oh, come on. There you go. Yes. Now that should take care of you. Fine, he's down. Now let me make sure I'm in. I don't want to be way down in my morale when I am ambushed by a guard like I was there. Alright, she's down. Well, this time I'll ambush her. And I do wonder if the root of the word does come from bush. If the idea of jumping out of a bush in order, hiding in a bush in order to do it or something like this. I wonder if that's just a coincidence. Something useful for puns as, well, English is notorious for puns. Alright, now we can return. And let's get back into Gwynrus, and I think this should be it. Right, I almost ran to a troll. And I guess we have to have... This is a rather unusual placement, I think, for a skirmish camp in our region, because most later regions, they tend to put the skirmish camp later on. But then, sort of like, well, in the main town, and usually get to the main town later on. But of course, there is no main town in Eregion, so they stuck it at the first place you run into.
A shadow is on my spirit.
Well done again, Pinestone. With their leader gone, I do not doubt that the Dunlendings will soon return to their homes in the south. You have earned the gratitude of both elf and tree this day, Pinestone. Thank you. And we get a Vitality, Will, Fate. Well, actually that's resistance, power. Yeah, I guess that'd be useful. And an essence? I had an essence drop. Is that a level 50 mob? Well, not gonna, well, actually, it's not my first essence. I have one down here also, yes. Of course, I'll need a slottable item in order to actually put the essence in, but that's a minor little detail. So let's head out to Akkad Eregion. And how am I doing on my... I still have 2 more books to complete. And Oh yes, now how far am I on the deed for Eregion, since that's going to be, no, not, I'm an area door. Let's see, Enidwise, Eregion, not Eriador, Eregion. Alright, now we want Silent and Restless Intermediate, 14 of 20, so I need 6 more quests before I get that, because that becomes important on which stable routes are going to be unlocked. Now, while I can unlock stable routes, that'll be the slow routes, but the fast travel routes are unlocked only by completing certain quests. Now, if I were doing many things all at once, then I might use a written special passage. I think I still have one in my vault that I haven't used, back from when I first made this character. Because those are things, or let's see. And this is one of those places, either this place or Mirkwood, where it comes in really handy if you're jumping around places and you haven't finished the quests that are required to unlock the fast travel. Let's see. Oh, I can check my vault. And oh, read a special passage, 1 hour, yes. Yeah, so it's sitting in my vault. So if I decide that I need to go about, it probably won't have to, since
How can I be of service?
I don't need to go to Gwyneth. But if you can see here, okay, I can go to Gwyneth, no problem, because I just need the regular one. To go to Ekid Mirabel needs final, and Ekadinan needs advanced, and Rivendell needs intermediate. So I can have swift travel back and forth to Rivendell when I complete the intermediate step. Actually, I think I can go to Gwynrith, from Rivendell to Gwynrith already. I think Gwynrith unlocks with the basic level.
Hail, friend, and well met.
If only the... Oh, actually, we'll look into all the new quests here in our next episode of Pineleaf Plays the Rune-Keeper.